and let us understand why Swami Vivekananda told people to choose football over the Gita. Because there are many people who today feel that Swami Vivekananda was disrespecting the Gita by saying so. But was he really doing a disrespect to the Gita? What is the truth? You see, today we have a tendency to hear a little snippet of information and immediately get outraged. But we never take the time to understand the context in which things are said. So by telling people to play football before reading the Gita, was Swami Vivekananda really disrespecting the Bhagavad Gita? Was he against the Gita? Not at all. How could Swamiji, the Advait Vedantist, be against the Gita? This is itself absolutely ludicrous. The Gita is the crown jewel which contains the summary of all the highest teachings of the Upanishads. And the Upanishads, which are a part of the Vedas, are the most sacred texts for any devotee of Advait Vedanta. For anyone who reveres Advait Vedanta, the Gita and the Upanishads are immensely sacred. And furthermore, Swami Vivekananda's own guru, Sri Ramakrishna, who was he? He was Sri Krishna himself in his previous incarnation. So Swami Vivekananda was the disciple of Sri Krishna himself, and he worshipped his guru Sri Ramakrishna as Sri Krishna. In fact, there is a lovely story about how Swami Vivekananda bestowed the vision of Sri Krishna upon a non-believer. So in those days, India was not the country it is today. It was under the British rule, and India was divided into many princely states, one of which was Jaipur. So Sardar Hari Singh used to be the commander-in-chief of Jaipur state, and once Swami Vivekananda stayed as a guest in his house. Now Hari Singh was a strong believer in Advait Vedanta, but he had faith only in the formless aspect of God. He could not believe that God could take the form of Krishna or Shiva or Kali or Ganesh. So he sat and discussed this with Swami Vivekananda for hours and hours. But even after indulging in such intense discussions, Hari Singh remained unconvinced. So what happened was that one evening, he and Swami Vivekananda went for a walk. And as they walked down the street, coming from the other side was a procession, in which some devotees were carrying the idol of Sri Krishna, and they were singing devotional songs as they went. So as this procession crossed Sardar Hari Singh and Swami Vivekananda, suddenly Swamiji touched Hari Singh's arm and said, "Look, there goes the living God, the living Krishna." And Hari Singh was rooted to the spot. He was transfixed. He could not move. Tears started flowing down his cheeks. He was seeing the living, breathing, alive Sri Krishna. His heart and mind were transformed forever. After a while, when Hari Singh returned to ordinary consciousness, he was overwhelmed with gratitude. He told Swami Vivekananda, "Well, Swamiji, what I could not understand after hours of discussion, I could easily comprehend by your grace, which you bestowed upon me by a mere touch. I saw the living Krishna in the idol of Sri Krishna." So do you think that a person who could bestow the vision of Sri Krishna by his mere touch would be against the Gita? Is that even possible? It is not. So Swami Vivekananda had many such yogic powers. In fact, Swami Vivekananda himself has said that he had the power to put anyone in samadhi. So now it is clear that Swami Vivekananda was not against the Gita or Krishna. It was not possible for him to be so. But then why did he tell people to play football first? The real reason why Swami Vivekananda told people to focus on physical fitness before reading the Gita was because only a fit body can house a fit mind, and only a fit mind can comprehend and understand and implement the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita in one's daily life. There is a very famous shlok by Maharishi Patanjali. He has said in his Yoga Sutras, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodh. What does this mean? What is yoga? Most people think that yoga is physical exercise only. But yoga actually, as Maharishi Patanjali has explained, is the name given to the powerful effort one has to put in to control the mind and make it follow the uphill path of righteousness amidst difficult situations. Physical exercises are only a precursor, a preliminary first step to gaining control over the mind. So think about this for a moment. Could Arjuna have listened to Sri Krishna's sermon of the Gita and implemented his teachings of fighting a just war if he was a sickly person? Just before the Mahabharata war started, Arjuna was collapsing from fear and anxiety. His hands were shaking and the bow slipped from his hands. He could not overcome his attachments to his corrupt, immoral cousins. He was willing to tolerate their crimes. He was willing to let them go unpunished. So do you think that Arjuna could have summoned the courage to overcome these attachments, to overcome his deep-seated fears and misgivings, had his body been weak, had his body been sick? If Arjuna had a migraine, if he had asthma, if he had Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis or some other debilitating disease, could he have successfully battled with his own mind first? Could he have triumphed against his own fears? Because even before fighting the Mahabharata war, he had to fight with his own mind and stabilize it. So could he have managed to subdue the weaknesses that dogged his mind if his body was sick? He could not have. It would have been an extremely difficult task, that too in the middle of a high-pressure battle situation. So just like Arjuna, we too are fighting numerous battles of life. Therefore, physical fitness is a precursor to mental fitness, and only then can one hope to be spiritually fit to implement the teachings of the Gita. As Arjuna demonstrated, reading or listening to the Gita is not at all sufficient. Implementation of its teachings in our day-to-day actions is the key. And to implement, a fit body and a fit mind are essential. This is why they say, learn spiritual truths when you're young, not when you're old and decrepit. And this is why Swami Vivekananda emphasized physical fitness as the first step to spiritual awakening.